Welcome to NBA Today with Malika Andrews, live from Los Angeles.
Coming up on NBA Today, where can we see Damian Lillard land after his trade request? Our Adrian Wojnarowski, he is stopping by with the latest coming out of Portland. And where will James Harden play next season? Could he be on the move, or will we see him in a 76ers uniform come the fall? Plus, Summer League Hoops, it is officially underway. The highlights are kind of crazy. Kendrick Perkins will give his first impressions on Chet Holmgren, Brandon Miller, and so much more. NBA Today starts right now. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews, joined by our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. So, Woj, let's start in Portland today. We know that Damian Lillard has requested a trade out of Portland, and he wants to go to Miami. But do the Heat have enough to do it here?
Malika, that's going to be a question that plays out over time, because right now, Portland looks at what Miami has, and that is not what they believe should be the return for a player of the stature, in their minds, the value of Damian Lillard. That's 2 future first-round picks, some pick swaps. Tyler Hero is the best player available in that deal. They wouldn't want Tyler Hero. They would need a third team to take him on and then send them assets. But the way Portland looks at it, that wouldn't be enough for what they'd want for Damian Lillard. But here's the challenge. They've got to find somebody who can give them enough, who's willing to, and that's what Portland is spending their time on now. They want, like every team in this situation, it's a sliding scale. It's a combination of good young players, of good draft picks, obviously pick swaps, and all those. You look at Miami, they aren't considered good picks when it's a Heat team that is in constant contention, 2028, 2030, further down the road, certainly. But you look back at deals, whether it was Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Donovan Mitchell, any of those deals, they were teams that had been rebuilding, that had drafted high and had Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, had Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Cleveland sends Lauri Markkanen to Utah. If you're Portland, you've got to get one of that caliber of player in your mind, and then good draft picks. But again, there could be a point where Portland looks around and says, Miami is the best offer we have. And so then you've got to proceed at that point. But certainly for now, Portland's taking its time, canvassing the market, and seeing if they can come up with a package that is better than what Miami's best package is. And that doesn't mean Miami's offered their best package yet. That doesn't mean that all of those assets that I just described are on the table yet. This usually takes time, and I certainly think that's going to be the case with this Damian Lillard trade. You said this usually takes time, and there's some eerie similarities. I think back to last summer, Woj, with Kevin Durant, where he requested a trade, and we came on the air early, and it dragged all the way into the next season until ultimately you reported that he was headed to Phoenix, kept us up past our bedtime with how all of that unfolded. How long could we see a trade for Damian Lillard draw out here? And I think part of it, too, the difference is, I think there was always hope in Brooklyn, especially once Kyrie Irving opted back into his deal, that Kevin Durant would change his mind. And he did for half the season until the trade deadline. I don't think that's the case in Portland. I think both sides realize that this is over. So this is not a situation necessarily where the Blazers are trying to talk Damian Lillard back in. I think that impacts it. But he's got 4 years left on his deal. You get one crack at this if you're the Blazers to make the trade you want to make. You know, the concern is sometimes you get into the dog days of August and late August and September. Sometimes teams are less motivated to be engaged in trade talks then. They're getting ready for training camp. So timing on this is going to be interesting, because while you don't want to move too quickly and take a deal that you don't love, you've also got to look at the reality of what would it mean to bring Damian Lillard back to training camp. You know what that environment would be. It wouldn't be pleasant for anyone. We're still a long way away from that. We've not even gotten to Summer League yet. And I think, too, Joe Cronin, the Blazers GM, getting to Vegas, sitting down with other GMs face to face and having those kind of conversations, I think that's productive. I think that's the next step in this.
Woj, as always, thank you so much for your time, for stopping by NBA Today here. All right, that's Damian Lillard's story. Another player who has a future that's a bit uncertain here, James Harden. You can see Damian Lillard's numbers up here as well as James Harden. Lillard was third in scoring behind Embiid, behind Luka, and then Harden you have leading the league in assists. It's also worth noting that Lillard, he's signed for 4 more seasons. That includes a player option, while Harden is on an expiring contract. So welcoming in senior writers Ramona Shelburne, Zach Lowe into our conversation, our resident big man, Kendrick Perkins. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday, and I appreciate you being back with us today. All right, here's where it all stands. Damian Lillard, he's still a trailblazer over here, but options maybe seem to expand a little bit over the last couple of days. Ramona, what destination does make sense both for Dame and for the Portland Trailblazers here?
You know, I don't think Dame's going to like if I say this out loud, okay? But when you look at the league and its stated preference is to win, and teams that have the assets and maybe the ability to get this done, the Boston Celtics have the ability to get this done. I know, Perk. I can feel Perk. I can feel him.
I need to see Perk's face. There it is. Okay.
I know they have expressed some interest already in this, but this is not a team that is like on the list. It's not a city he would necessarily welcome going to right now, at least from what I understand. But in terms of team that can win and that actually has the assets to do it, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. If you can get him for like a Malcolm Brogdon and a Robert, some pick swaps, young players, they make sense. But Damian Lillard has said Miami, he has an affinity for the San Antonio Spurs, the Brooklyn Nets. I think I really enjoyed that conversation you had with Woj because it broke down this is how business in the league is going to get done. Mm-hmm. Summer League, when everyone is in the same gym. Okay, well, there's 2 gyms, but they're basically the same gym. And it's hot and everybody talks to each other face to face or at the Wynn and the coffee shop. That's when I think this really heats up. But there's also some other issues that are complicating things because right now, if Miami is going to do something, it's most likely going to be some kind of 3 or 4 team configuration with the Brooklyn Nets and the Detroit Pistons. That trade that they had with Joe Harris can be expanded up until a certain point. But once that window closes, that trade cannot be expanded once that Joe Harris trade officially goes through. And so I think there are a couple of deadlines here that matter, and the options start going off the table until fresh options come into that and when people start talking in Summer League.
Zach?
So Boston, Ramona brings up Boston, and I know that they're not on the list, and I think the list is really Miami, maybe some other stuff in San Antonio.
I agree.
But the question for Boston is what's going out in this theoretical, to be clear, fake trade that I'm just making up right now. And I don't think it would be Jaylen Brown. I don't think that swap really makes any sense for both sides. I think it's a package built around Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and a bunch of picks and a bunch of swaps. And I think that trade makes Boston, A, extremely expensive, and B, probably the out-and-out championship favorite. We'll see if they actually come to the table with that, because Miami actually has more cards to play than I think people are giving them credit for. One thing they can do is call up Oklahoma City, amend the protection they have on a trade that they owe the Thunder, loosen it up. That allows them to trade 3 first-round picks, plus a swap, plus Tyler Hero. I think they may have, they have Nikola Jovic, who was a second-year player. Jaime Jaquez, who they just drafted from UCLA, will be trade eligible in 3 or 4 weeks. If you're Portland and you can wring all of that out of Miami, I'm not saying it's a home run offer. I'm not even saying it's like good, but it's palatable and it's better than people have been giving it credit for. But that's if you're able to wring all of that stuff out.
Jaime Jaquez had some moments at Summer League already that have been pretty entertaining. Perk, you're our resident Celtic. What do you think?
Malika, Ramona, Zach, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. We are a little over a week, and I wanted this to happen expeditiously. It didn't. And yesterday was July the 4th. I saw Dame in my macaroni. I saw Dame in my brisket. I saw Dame on the fireworks. I saw Dame in my suit jacket pocket. When I was putting it on. What? That's how much I've been talking about Damian Lillard over the last week and a half, and I'm exhausted. At this point, I don't even care. I just want him to get to a contender. a team that's been knocking at the door. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, I know it's reports out there by Brian Windhorst saying that they will not be willing enough to give up Tyrese Maxey. I think that's crazy. I love Tyrese Maxey. But if you're trying to win now, yes, Damian Lillard is a serious upgrade over Tyrese Maxey. The Boston Celtics, Ramona just talked about the pieces that they have. We heard Brad Stevens talk about how the owners are behind him for us going out and spending money, not really caring about going above the salary cap. So I'm to the point now that I just want to see it happen. And to Ramona's point earlier, now all of a sudden you get into Summer League, you're going to get into those meetings. We know how popping the win is, and we know how popping the bar area be. Everybody be down there. Yep. The conversations are going to be had. And damn it might have some action. But as of right now, I'm exhausted.
I don't want you to see Damian Lillard in your cheeseburgers and your brisket anymore. So since you mentioned Tyrese Maxey, let's shift over to Philadelphia. And actually, really, we're going to go to the Hamptons because Ramona, James Harden, he was partying with some of the core Sixers this weekend. What can you tell us about the relationship right now between Harden, between some of his teammates, and then the organization as well?
So I'm going to decode the Instagram posts, okay?
Oh, my favorite.
I was doing this all weekend, okay? And you have to follow all the Instagram posts, too, because it's not just from Michael Rubin. James Harden went to Michael Rubin's white party in the Hamptons. I think we're just going to call it East Egg because there's a Great Gatsby thing going on here. Is that Joel Embiid? That's Joel Embiid with James Harden.
Yes.
And that's Michael Rubin, former Sixers co-owner.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. Tobias Harris was there. Jason Tatum was at this party. Like, everybody was at this white party. I think I saw J-Lo there and Kim Kardashian. Like, this is the place to be, apparently.
Yeah.
But they were talking, and from what I understand, like, there has been a lot of fence mending that is happening amongst with James Harden and his teammates, especially the ones who were there. Now, it's a party, so how much do you talk about? How much are you just there at the party? But even away from that party, I think there's been a lot of fence mending. But when you decode the Instagram posts, okay? If I post something with you, Malika, that's like me saying you and I are cool, right?
Yes.
I don't post something with people I don't like. I like you. So if I post a photo of you, that means James Harden is cool with his teammates. Okay. So what does that signal?
Maybe
who he's not cool with.
All right.
Okay, so like if you're not cool with the front office, if you're not cool with the organization, but you want to signal, I'm cool with Joel Embiid. I'm cool with Tobias Harris.
Okay.
Then you have to put him on the gram. But who's not in those photos? Where's Daryl Morey? No, not at the party.
You think
not
he
his
got the
thing.
Invitation?
Was he invited? I don't think so. Like that's kind of what that signal was, and I think that's why you look at this and say PJ Tucker's calling him, Patrick Beverley, newly signed, calling James Harden, Joel Embiid, Tobias, all these guys. He's fine with them, and they are fine with him. And so when I say there's a path to reconciliation, that's where it starts.
So maybe the door there is still open. All right, it's a good thing we have a break coming because then Ramona, you and I can take some photos. I think with Perk and Zach too.
Yeah,
we're all cool. Still to come on NBA.
I always tag Perk on the
We do have much more on Damian Lillard.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. Let's talk about Damian Lillard. He has not gotten traded yet. And why is this? Because Miami's offer sucks. I could have told you that in the beginning. Right when I found out that's what the trade package is, that is the dumbest trade package I've ever heard of in my life. You are telling me that Damian Lillard would get traded for Tyler Hero and a couple other pieces and a couple draft picks. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And quite frankly, now the Portland trailblazers are looking elsewhere. They want a star in return, and rightfully so, right? Because Damian Lillard is the man, 100%. He is just incredible, and you're not going to get him just for Tyler Hero and a couple pieces here and there and some draft picks. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But I know Pat Riley. That's not Pat Riley's final trade package, right? So there's obviously more, but we don't. That's pretty much yet to be seen. Now, obviously, you heard Woj saying, "Oh, they're going to look around. They're going to take their time," right? So I hope everybody is not clinging to the fact that it's going to happen tomorrow, right? What's going to happen tomorrow or the next day is Pascal Siakam going to Atlanta Hawks. That's going to happen. So Damian Lillard, is sitting put as a Portland Trailblazer for now. Now, Ramona Shelburne said something interesting, and I knew this going into this thing, but Damian Lillard pretty much said that he only wants to go to Miami. Well, that's cool, but he doesn't get the final say. He doesn't get to make that statement. He doesn't get to make the choice that he wants to go to. If Portland agrees, then yeah, they'll send him off to Miami, but their trade package sucks. So he said he doesn't want to go to Boston. However, Ramona Shelburne said that Boston has a lot of assets, which is true, 100% true, right? However, they're not going to give up Grant Williams in sign and trade. I think a couple other teams are interested in him. They could give up Robert Williams. They could give up Malcolm Brogdon. They could give up multiple picks. We all know that they have tons and tons and tons of picks. Robert Williams, like I said, and Damian Lillard could show up in Boston. Why? Because he has no trade clause. He doesn't have that in his contract. See, Bradley Beal, he had that, so he could pick and choose where he wanted to go. But Damian Lillard doesn't have that. So now it's kind of like this. Portland GM Cronin can send him off to anywhere. Now, if I am Portland, I'm going to take the best trade package, right? This is not about we're going to send you off to your preferred destination. Because, well, I know most people do that, right? Because Brooklyn did that with KD, right? They sent him off to Phoenix because he said that he wants to go to Phoenix. Well, this ain't Brooklyn. This is Portland. Portland says that they're going to take a look at all the trades. So they want this as a leverage play with Boston to get Miami and Pat Riley to up their offer. Well, he better do that quick because at the end of the day, Boston has a lot of assets, and they could offer a ton of picks. They have a better trade package than Miami. And so now what Miami has to do is they have to actually send off Tyler Hero to someplace else because they got to get a third team involved. And that third team could possibly be Brooklyn. However, Brooklyn wants Miami to take on the Ben Simmons contract. That is huge. So if this works in Miami's favor to get Damian Lillard, there's going to be a price to pay. There's going to be Ben Simmons' contract, which is like 40. Jimmy Butler's contract, which is 40. That's 80 right there. Bam is 30. That's 110. And now you have Damian Lillard, which is 150. With 4 guys. So, Miami's in a tough spot here. If I'm Pat Riley, I am actually sending a lot more draft picks. Because that's all you got, right? You don't have anything else really. Portland doesn't really want Kyle Lowry. They don't want Tyler Hero. They don't want Duncan Robinson. So what more do you have to give? At the end of the day, like I said before, Boston has all the assets. They had a deep team last year, which they lost, but they had a deep team last year. If Boston gives up Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams and draft picks, it's hard to say no to that. If 76ers were to deal with James Harden, which I don't think it's going to happen anymore. Ever since they were cool on the July 4th weekend with Michael Rubin's house, I don't think it's going to happen. But you never know, right? Daryl Morey is strategic. He knows what he's doing. But we're going to talk about Damian Lillard. It could happen. Could go to Boston. Could go to Miami. or could go to 76ers. We don't know. But Boston right now has a better trade package than Miami. Tell me where you guys think he's going to land. Is he going to land in Boston or is he going to land in Miami? You be the judge. Leave a comment in the comment section. As always, it's Jag from Jaggy Sports.